This story begins on an island off the coast of Mexico called Cozumel. Jenny, Isaac, and I spent 4 days at Sabor, an all-inclusive resort on the beach. Jenny loved reading near the shoreline, listening to the waves while the boys were out scuba diving. Spending time with my boy, under the sea, makes me feel about as happy as one man can get. Believe it or not, we even coaxed Jenny into snorkeling with us. We took advantage of the hobby cats provided by the resort. Sadly, the family had to go home, but that is when the Yucatan adventure with Aaron Linn began. Aaron flew in from Cancun, and we spent one full day on the resort. Now, there isn't a whole lot of adventure on a resort, so that first day was all about snorkeling. We saw all kinds of underwater wildlife, including this very poisonous rockfish. It's kind of hard to see because, well, it looks like a rock. Day 2 is when the adventure begins. Aaron and I took a cab to the pier where we caught a ferry from Cozumel to Playa del Carmen. From Playa, we rented a crappy little car and drove to Tulum.
Tulum is the first Mayan ruins we went to. Important mostly because it is near the ocean, but they've got everything blocked off. You can't touch it, which makes it one of the least impressive of the Mayan ruins. But it definitely has its own character.
Inscriptions date this site to about 564 AD. Tulum was the center of a massive trade network. Mayans used dugout canoes to transport goods all along the eastern coast of Mexico.
Part of coming to Tulum is having to deal with everybody trying to hawk wares, mercados.
A short 15-minute drive and we were at another ruin.
This is the second ruin we went to, Moyel. You can tell there's nobody around. We're the only people. Totally different vibe from Tulum. This is Castilla.
Dated back to 350 BC, this is the oldest ruin we visited. The final bit of driving took us to Felipe Carrillo Puerto. It's a small city far from the trappings of tourism. To make reservations at our hotel here, I had to use a translator program and send emails back and forth to them. Although our day had already been jam-packed with travel and adventure, we took a long walk around town. Where else can you see a store with welding goggles and potato chips right next to each other? Empanadas. Each cooler has a different flavor. You choose which one you want and dig in. Aaron decided he needed a haircut, so we searched out a barber that stayed open late. He even used a straight razor on the neck. Shoe repair. Zumba.
Day 1 in the Yucatan consisted of a shakedown by Policia Municipal. We were pulling in here and trying to park on this street going the opposite direction, so I pulled into this gas station, turned, not a U-turn, pulled into the gas station, turned around, and then came this way. The policeman stopped me and said, "Oh, you did an illegal U-turn." He said he's going to take my license for 5 days. And I, using my iPhone, which is a lifesaver, said, "Can I just pay a ticket?" Which is slang for, "Can I just bribe you, please?" And he said, yes, 830 pesos. And so we started digging around, and eventually he just said 800 pesos and just wrote our ticket on a little reporter's notebook. Not even the big steno notebook, but like a small reporter's notebook. Not very official. So if you've got some empty space in between two buildings, the most obvious thing to do is build a landfill.
day 3, our longest day of driving, from the east to the west of the peninsula. In a very small town along the way,
and we saw just kind of under a blue tarp, a tent, a wood shop, a guy cutting wood, planing it. He had a planer. His table saw was made of plywood. He was one of the first carpenters we saw that did not have chainsaw as their main tool. It seems like here when people build things out of wood, the first tool they go to is the chainsaw. Something's not square, they will square it up with the chainsaw.
Whether they're wearing sandals or not.
And the people we saw with the chainsaw have flip-flops and chainsaw seems to be completely fine.
this is what we drove all that way for, the ancient ruins of Cozumel. It's a sprawling complex of untold acres. The centerpiece is the Pyramid of the Magician. This place dates back to about 500 AD, and at its height, the city had a population of 15,000. It's got detailed architecture and building practices that were way ahead of their time.
So this room is 180 degrees different from what we stayed in last night. This is Hacienda Cozumel, and very, very nice. Old building. Nice, nice, nice.
We passed a Spanish mission on the way to Mayapan. The drive to the ruins was a short one, so we took a little time to visit the church, which was open since it was a Sunday. Check out this weird Jesus. In the next little town, we happened upon a parade of sorts. While we were in town, a group of boys herded us to a very small cenote. The light was horrible, but I imagine these kids rely on money for showing the cenote to passers-by, so we gave them a bunch of pesos for showing us the way. I'll explain cenotes later.
We're here at our fourth site of Mayan antiquity. This is Mayapan, which is totally different than all of the others because even though it's not as well developed, it's like a playground. You can climb and touch anything that you want.
The architecture here is a lot more simple, very plain, same styles, corbelled arches, ashlar walls infilled with rubble. The building, the round building behind us, the walls are over 4 feet thick at the base, and there's a center column that's probably 12 feet in diameter that holds up the corbelled roof. There's no arches.
We happened upon this guy. I actually started to worry that this guy might be dead, but Policia drove right by him. My guess is this guy's been passed out here before. This pig's alive, but not for long. This guy's taking him to the slaughterhouse. Early the next morning, we headed to Chichen Itza, the capital of the Mayan Empire for hundreds of years. Founded around 750 AD, this site is perfectly restored and the central pyramid is nothing short of spectacular.
Okay. Mayas also, they invented 2 Maya calendars.
Two.
The biggest one, or the most important calendar, was the sun calendar. Okay. This is the sun calendar. We call also the long count.
Like Tulum, people are trying to sell you stuff around every corner.
T-shirt, sir? What price?
No.
T-shirt.
Thank you.
Most of their goods are just cheap junk. But every once in a while, you see a true craftsman. Just outside of Chichen Itza is a cenote. A cenote is a large sinkhole that's caused by a cave falling in. It fills up with rainwater, which makes the water clear and great for swimming. The cenote was a refreshing break before heading to Cancun.
We've taken even one more step up at our stay in Cancun at the Flamingo Hotel, which is swank, especially considering the
hellholes we've been in lately.
The sandy beaches of Cancun would be the last memory of our Mexican adventure. Memories of bright colors, intoxicating smells, roaming dogs, bribing police, structures of antiquity, lots of iguanas and thatched roofs. I'm grateful that I'm able to share these memories with good people.